Welcome back, everyone, to Michael Clayton Live. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, a lot of things are still going on in our community, and we are reaching out trying to find the best people to give us the best information. Now, to do with the churches, the governor has issued an exemption on people gathering at churches. So we turn to one of our trusted community leaders, head pastor Tommy Kyllonen of Crossover Church. He's been a pillar in this community for over 20 years, and he's such a good man and a true friend of mine. So we want to reach out to ask him exactly how Crossover is conducting their business and talk about some other things that they're doing for the community during this tough time. Tommy, thank you for joining us today.
Man, it's good to be with you, Michael.
Listen, I got word. You sent me a text message that you were having a food bank drive-through on Fridays, and I was able to send it to a few people who were homeless at the time, people who were struggling to pay rent, and they called me and they told me thank you. And just from a personal standpoint, I want to thank you for what you're doing. But I want to ask, how are you conducting this drive-through food drive to support those in need at this critical time in our country?
Yeah, we know that the needs are huge right now. As we saw the job report, like 6.6 million people filed for unemployment just last week, 3.3 the week before. And, we know a lot of people in our community are being hit, especially if they're in the hospitality or restaurant or retail, business. And then just even a lot of small businesses are furloughing people right now. So there's a lot of people we know are paycheck to paycheck. So the needs are, becoming immediate. So we partnered with Feeding Tampa Bay, and we became basically a grocery drive-through. And so, we have a big parking lot in front of our church. We're right on Fowler Avenue, the old Toys R Us building. So we have a great location where people can just pull right in. And we have the truck right in front of the church, and the boxes come right off. And so people don't have to get out of their car. They just pop open their trunk, or we might put it in their back seat, and we're able to wave to them, through the window, talk to them, encourage them a little bit, and, say a few encouraging things, and they can keep it moving. So last Friday was our first one to do it. We had 300 boxes of groceries for 300 families, and we gave all them away in like 2 hours. And so as the need increases, we may actually do it more than just on Fridays. And so we're in talks with Feeding Tampa Bay about that. We're going to see how it goes today, but we're anticipating it's going to be a much, much bigger crowd. The people were super grateful. It was meeting a lot of needs. And so we're just trying to, be aware. We know there's a tidal wave of needs that's coming in the next week or two. It's going to grow even more, as a lot of people were just laid off, and a lot of people's bills are due now. It's the beginning of the month. So we're just trying to, be ready to meet that, meet as many needs as we can.
Speaking of getting bills paid, obviously this is a huge impact on the church when the president makes an announcement that there are no more gatherings more than 50 people at one time, and then they changed to 10 people at one time. And now we are, going through the process of just social distancing and staying away from everybody. I know that that's impacting the church. How is Crossover Church conducting their business in terms of service, worship, and praise?
Yeah, so even though the governor made that statement and said churches are still, they're considered an essential business or essential organization, I agree, we are essential, but at the same time, I believe that, we need to still follow what the CDC is saying and what the government, what the president's saying, that, there shouldn't be any gatherings of more than 10 people. And so we're trying to protect our people. And so the last several weeks, we've moved everything to online. And I know that's challenging for some churches out there that haven't been in that space before. But, our church we've been doing stuff online for many, many years. And so a lot of our people, they'll watch services online. When they're coming to church, they're watching it, or when they miss, or they're traveling, or they're sick. And then in addition, it just gives us an opportunity to reach so many more people, because a lot of people are looking for hope right now. They're afraid, they're scared, and during times of turmoil, people lean in and they're looking for God. And so the past couple of weeks, our online audience has doubled and even tripled with the amount of people that we're reaching and the people that we're engaging. So we're looking at it. Yes, it's challenging, but we're looking at it in a positive way of like, man, this is such an incredible opportunity for the church to reach more people than ever and really just bring hope to people and encouragement.
Just this past weekend, a pastor over in Riverview was arrested for gathering because of what the county was asking everyone, the rules for everyone to abide by. What is your message to the church, other churches in our community? How can they help not spread the disease? And are you worried about church gatherings from other congregations?
Yeah, I think during this time, first of all, the scripture says we have to abide by the laws of the land. And this law that's come out that's saying that, we shouldn't gather, it's not like it's discriminating against churches. Everything is closed now. Sporting events, restaurants, movie theaters. I mean, the list goes down, malls. I mean, people are just not supposed to gather. And we do have other ways that we can gather through technology. We're doing that right now. Thank God for technology. And so at the same time, like we're called to be shepherds and protect our people. I mean, this virus is very real. We believe that, yes, God can heal people and God can protect us. But at the same time, we also need to obey the laws of the land, and we need to use wisdom. And we all have some people in our churches, or we have family members that have some pre-existing health conditions, or they may be older, and you might be healthy, but you can end up being a carrier of this and bring it home to someone else, or someone could be in that environment and get sick and not even know what's going on. And there's been lots of stories around the country. I think you're going to talk about one of them, of people that have had well-meaning intentions behind it, but ended up passing along the virus to somebody else. And so I think we have to be wise in these times and use technology and protect our people and find creative ways to connect with them and pour into them.
You mentioned that story. We'll be talking with a doctor tomorrow who her mother, 80 years old, and aunt, 80 years old, were in their homes, didn't go anywhere, and they were visited by church members. And her aunt just passed away 2 days ago. And we'll be speaking with her. You mentioned that story. So, so everyone can really know the impact of someone who's asymptomatic and doesn't have any symptoms. You still are a carrier and can be very damaging to the community. Tommy, lastly, what's your message to people who have leaned on that church service or that church building to find God, now are in a different type of predicament where they're having to stay at home? What is your message to those who still have a heart for God, who still want to find truth, and now have to probably rely on their own study habits or their own personal time? What's your encouragement to those people?
Yeah, well, it's no secret. I mean, God has said in scripture that we're wired for community. He's made us for community. So I realize, especially if you're out there and you're an extrovert, you miss being around people, and you may miss community. But at the same time, I think there's times that we as the church in America can lean too much on the gathering, the big gathering, and then we don't have the personal time with God. And the biblical definition of what the church is it's not a building, but it's a group of people that are together on a mission. And even if that group of people can't gather in a big group, they can still gather virtually. They can call each other. They can gather with a couple people with their family, and use the social distancing and all that. But I think it's just, I think it's bringing us back to the basics, back to the roots, because church can sometimes become so heavily reliant on just the big gathering, which can almost in some cases become a big show. And, even at Crossover, we gather a lot of people and we want to put on a great service, and we want to do things in excellence. And, you've been part of some of the things that we've done in the past. And so, there's value to that, absolutely. But sometimes we can lean too much on that, and then we're not spending the personal time. And so God in this moment has just pressed the reset button, and he's shut everything down. We can't even gather as a church, service physically. And it's forcing us to really have some real reflection. And so I think there's going to be some great things that's going to come out of this, but we got to be open and we got to discipline ourselves and we got to lean in and not binge watch Netflix all day. Right? You can do a little bit of that, but you need to spend some intentional time with God and get on a Bible study plan. There's some great stuff. There's an app called YouVersion. If you've never heard of it, there's an app called Pray. Those are some great apps to download, and there's Bible reading stuff that you can go through on there. There's teaching you can go through. There's a lot of churches streaming stuff, so you could probably watch more stuff than ever and get poured into, but at the same time, spend that personal time with God during this time, and check on your neighbors, check on your friends that are part of your church, because we got to serve each other during this time as well.
Well, listen, Tommy, for years, I've seen your diligent work in the community. Love Our City Week was so popular where you're doing acts of kindness, giving out backpacks for years for kids who need materials to go back to school, man. And now this, providing a drive-through food bank during a time of crisis. I just want to thank you for what you do for our community and have done for so long. It really means a lot to those. And I really am thankful for how you conduct your service, getting young people an opportunity to connect with God in a spiritual way, and how you do things, man, is really uplifting. And I want to thank you. I also want to give you an opportunity to tell people the website, how can they go on and log into the services that you provide online when you guys choose to do so?
Sure. We're just here trying to be hope pushers during this time, during this crisis. And so we're streaming our services online. Our website is crossoverchurch.org. And we're actually doing 4 services on Sunday at 4 different times. So whenever it's convenient for you, 10 o'clock, 11:45, 5 p.m., or 7 p.m. Then in addition, if you're on Facebook, and you probably are, many of you are watching this on Facebook right now, our Facebook page is Crossover 813. And so every day we do a noonday devotional for a few minutes in prayer. We do that live. And then every evening at 7, we have something different that we have going on. Mondays, we call it Music Mondays. We show some footage from Flavor Fest. Tuesdays, we have game night. Our work director and his wife, they're doing a game night. We had like over 1,000 people on that thing, and we were giving away some gift cards to people that won. It was a lot of fun. Wednesday night, we do our growth night Bible study. Thursday night, me and my wife are doing what we call table talk. And so just practical stuff, like how do you lead your family when everybody's at home and you're getting on each other's nerves? How do you need to look at your budget during this time and eat healthy and exercise? And so we're giving practical tips. And Friday night, we're doing Flashback Fridays. We're showing a message from the past that was relevant. And then we have an after party. One of our DJs is actually doing like an hour of just spinning some great Christian hip hop and R&B and EDM. And so, DJ D Nice has been doing that. And so we're doing that with a Christian version. And so we got stuff going on our Facebook page all the time. So jump in, get encouraged, invite some people. And we're praying for you during this time. And if you need food or you know someone that does, send them by on Fridays, and we may expand that to some other days. So if you follow our Facebook page, you'll be able to see the information. But thank you, Michael, for the opportunity, man. I appreciate all the stuff that you do in our community, and you've helped us and partnered with us at Back to School Jam many times before. So
always an honor, Tommy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate you, man.
If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of Michael Clayton Live, please go to our website at michaelclaytonlive.com. You can also send us an email at michaelclaytonlive@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is another episode of Michael Clayton Live.